Get near the microphone, Greg, as you often forget to do. I wanted to ask you about Mike McDaniel. The reports are that he's going to the Chargers, Justin Herbert, unless the Raiders' job becomes open to him or the Ravens' job becomes open to him. He's obviously in demand. It is funny to see what's happening in Miami, where he's in demand, at least in part, because everybody understands, had the number one passing offense in the league, and Raheem Mostert had 18 touchdowns on an offense that had a quarterback that wasn't as good as the one that he would now have in Los Angeles if Justin Herbert stays healthy, which he has, and Justin Herbert will get to play differently than he's played the last few years because the amount that dude has been hit is insane. Like, they are not... I know a lot of people argue about Justin Herbert and say stop making excuses for Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, but I saw no quarterback in the sport playing as unpleasant a football position as Justin Herbert at quarterback because the Chargers couldn't block anybody this year once they got injured on the offensive line. And I've said before, that offensive line didn't belong in the playoffs. Like, that was an incompetent offensive line.
No, that's fair. I think Mike McDaniel took the right job for him because you go where the quarterback is. You know, he was still a finalist for the Giants, I believe, and pulled out of that job because he thought Justin Herbert
didn't want any part of the Browns job. Could have had the Browns job, doesn't want any part of that.
He went where the quarterback is. Now, I personally think Justin Herbert is overrated at this point in his career. I don't think he's lived up, but he's a better quarterback than the other choices he had.
Has a chance to be especially painful for Dolphin fans. Because, Dolphins took Tua instead of Justin Herbert. And now you got the coach who rightfully has been run out of town, linking up potentially with Herbert with an opportunity to improve him even more. Like, it has a chance to be really painful for the Dolphin fan if Herbert all of a sudden becomes a big-time passer.
I don't know how you look at Herbert and think he's, not great. I don't know what you're doing with Herbert there.
Yeah,
he had a bad offensive line this year, so he didn't have time.
He had a terrible offensive line.
We have a pretty good idea because Justin Herbert seems to be like a sticking point with Dolphin fans.
McDaniel with Herbert is going to make you realize how bad Tua is.
I think so, too.
Like, that's the reality, is that McDaniel made Tua, and Justin Herbert's tools with the ability to create a run game out of nowhere,
which is
McDaniel has. When you can have that to free up everything that Herbert does, he is going to be spectacular with Mike McDaniel, and it's going to end any of those debates you were having as Jeremy Fowler throws out there, hey, the Dolphins are looking at Malik Willis.
It's also fair to say at this point, you look at the interest in Mike McDaniel, both the head coach interviews he's done and the offensive coordinator jobs that were opening for him. That makes it debatable to this day to say that the Dolphins were right not to give him one more season.
Which some of us were saying that we're going to miss that offense.
No, it's absolutely debatable. And Jeff Hafley right now and the new GM have to prove that it was the right decision.
I know that Mike McDaniel and Dolphins fans don't want to hear this right now. He is idiosyncratic and doesn't cut the figure of the leader of men.
I like him. I don't like what Zaz is saying. Rightly ran him out of town. He's a 500 coach who produced offense.
Fair. I know I keep going back to this anytime I'm talking with you guys about the Mike McDaniel era in Miami. But man, that Monday night game against the Tennessee Titans.
I hate that game. Stop bringing it up.
If they survive that game, Mike McDaniel's job is not in question at this point.
They would have been 10-2.
They host a playoff game. They host the Steelers in all likelihood, and in all likelihood they win that game. And it's a very different discussion, but erase that. Forget about that alternate reality. For all the stuff about, he's not a serious guy for pro football. He did keep the Dolphins afloat. He was fired 3 months ago. And then the Dolphins, you kind of have to look at the standings if you aren't in Miami, if you're elsewhere in football America. Wait a minute, the Dolphins are kind of hanging around. They've kind of played themselves back into being relevant in the AFC playoff chase here, and you guys just canned him. I don't know if that's the greatest idea.
I don't think he's a head coach. It's very possible, and we've seen this before. There are guys who are great coordinators, but they're not head coaches.
I hear that.
There was no way for Mike McDaniel to be demoted.
He's never been a coordinator.
I hear that all the time, okay? And I used to hear it about Belichick. And it bothers me that we make that assessment only with the results. The last 8 coaches the Dolphins have hired don't have any head coaching experience. And you may think Halfling is a head coach, but
I don't know.
I don't know. He comes from Worcester Polytech Institute as his starting point. If you guys think he's a head coach, you know more than I do, because I don't know. You got Diana telling me, well, he presents well in the interview. That has nothing to do with being a good head coach.
You're forgetting he's a sweetie pie.
Yeah.
I did forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
I would ask Daz directly, did Mike McDaniel seem like a head coach to you when he went to the playoffs, hit both of his first 2 seasons?
Yeah. Yeah.
When he led the league in passing, had the number 1 passing offense in the league.
So
Well,
he-
Dan, what you're talking about is how he presents in the interview, and something adjacent to that is the dim cynicism expressed in every coaching cycle, and especially this one right now. Look at social media and otherwise this last week or so. Every fan base, the guy who was just fired or is up for a job elsewhere, they're saying they want to interview our coordinator. Haven't they watched our games? It's that sort of empty sort of reaction. Everybody who is close to their team thinks that their coordinator, their head coach, is the issue and needs to go. That should not be a reflection on how good they are or not.
I would just add to Greg's question that he posed to me. Yes, I thought after the first 2 years, this is a really good head coach, Mike McDaniel. But then we get a larger sample size, and, like, my opinion can change. Like, I've seen more. I've actually seen double the amount of time now, from 2 years to 4 years, and I don't believe that to be the case. I think he's a great offensive guy.
But he's a 500 coach. He won half of his games. When he was 9-2, you thought he was a head coach. When they had offense, you thought he was a head coach. And he was 500 as a head coach in 4 years with someone now deemed to not be a good quarterback. Like that. I hate when we do this. We just do it so often, and my starting point is Belichick. I was told when Belichick was hired, not going to work, going to be a defensive coordinator, doesn't present well, and didn't.
Well, the thing about Mike McDaniel is when he was winning, when he was making the playoffs, everybody loved his quirky personality. Oh, he was funny. He was regaling the media. We were all laughing. And then Tua got worse. And then the losing started.
Yeah, not as funny.
And then Mike McDaniel, we're making ums and ahs, and he's terrible. He doesn't even know how to speak. He didn't change, okay? The losing changed our perception of him. He's the same coach as he always was.
Awfully coveted.
Awfully coveted, surprisingly.
I don't think it's surprising.
I was surprised.
I don't think there's anything surprising about that. Raheem Mostert had 18 touchdowns and then was out of the league. Like, what are you guys watching that you think it's surprising that every team in the league is interested in Mike McDaniel? Can he sprinkle something over here, that Shanahan, that if I don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter, I'm going to get 18 touchdowns from Raheem Mostert.
All I mean is that every coach who's fired in the NFL isn't automatically sought after, and he's been highly sought after, both for head coach and coordinator positions. You know, nobody's forgetting about Mike McDaniel. The league, we hear the league saying, you know what? The Dolphins got rid of a pretty good guy. Let's look into him.
Brian Flores, head coaching material to you? Just curious. I don't know how much his record was.
Leader
about.
of men.
Okay, is that so? That's what we're doing. Okay.
The biggest thing he's got to run into is like, wait, is he going to sue me?
So, guy who is caveman football coach, caveman masculine, or Mike McCarthy,
Or a great offensive, or a great run game coordinator, like
Right.
Mike McDaniel. Those are the two things.
You want the Dan Campbell or the Mike Vrabel as the stereotype macho man.
Or the nerd that is just a genius.
Brian Flores would have worked here if he got along with people. Like, that is kind of a quality that a head coach needs to have.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's been resolved, by the way, to answer your question, Dan. Brian Flores, there's been some smoke in other NFL stops as well. That's what might prevent him
You
from
say
getting the
that,
gig.
and one of the funny things that I learned when we were at Dolphin camp is that he had installed, you said smoke, on his office, the glass on his office, he had installed just something that made it not visible because it was smoky, but he would just press. People outside would be coming to see him, and he would just press it, and his office would just go smoky.
I need that on planes for the people sitting next to me.